welcome to another episode of the 92 Diaries with your hosts, Fee, Miss Chardz.
And Juliet.
And today's episode is A Case of the Ex, which reminds me of that song that Maya sang. Remember back in the day, A Case of the Ex?
Tell me what is it that you want?
Tell
Tell me what is it that you need? Did you hear about the brand new things that she's about for me? Wait, she or he? Y'all didn't have no kids.
It don't matter
Share
though.
no
You remember the song.
Then, wait, my bad. The rest of the words just left my head. Like, what? My bad.
But that song.
Okay, A Case of the Ex, huh?
But yeah, like, it got me thinking, like, in all the relationships that it's not been that many. I'm saying all the relationships, like, I'm out. But yeah, like, my most significant relationship to date, it taught me a lot about myself. And I was just thinking, like, if there are 3 things that you guys could take away from the relation, like, the most significant relationship that you've had to date, what would those 3 things be?
Oh, child. Well, let me tell you mine. My first one, I think, yes, 100%. Every relationship definitely tells you about yourself. I think one is when to and when not to give second chances. I think that's a massive one for me. Respect is a really, really big thing. Apart from communication and all of that stuff, that is actually really important in relationships. But I think respect is a massive factor that I feel if that relationship does not have it, I'm out, Joe. Like, period, point blank, period. And the other thing is, like, don't be afraid to for it to end. Like, if that relationship is toxic, if it is bad, if it causes you more stress than it does happiness, like, I know everything is challenging, but boy, sometimes things gotta end, and do not be afraid to let that shit go. Okay, that's mine.
Judy.
I think for me, actually, when I think about, I guess, past significant relationships, I'd say my biggest take home is that I need to practice what I preach. Just because I feel like whenever my friends come to me for advice on things, I'm like, you need to do this, you should think about doing this. Maybe you should, please, Abna, my Ghanaian name was Abna. Where is your own advice? Have you not thought of listening to yourself for once? Because honestly, I don't take my own advice, and I feel like sometimes I will say what things are important, like having this and this and this, but I will not do it myself when it comes to that particular situation. And that should need to change. I guess the next thing would be that in the past anyway, I have leaned towards acting in a codependent way in past relationships, and I've learned that's something that I need to probably personally work on, because that way you kind of end up in relationships that aren't necessarily the most healthy for you. And I guess the last thing that I've learned, the most important actually, probably out of all of them, was that I need to be more proactive in establishing boundaries when it comes to being with certain people or dating or all that kind of stuff, because I think that's something I definitely took for granted or didn't understand until probably almost fairly recently, I would say. And that shit comes back to hurt you. So I feel like I need to learn what it is to establish boundaries so I can implement that in future. And yourself though, what about you?
You know what? It's actually hard because I think about it and then, I'm just going to put it out there. I'm just going to say it. So I was very neglectful of myself. There was a lot of self-neglect, and I don't just mean like in a horrible type. I just felt like I invested a lot of my time into my partner and thinking about everything to do with him, and anything I did want to do involved me thinking about, oh, how's it going to affect him, and how's it going to impact his life. And that's always been my MO. It's just always like thinking, like, when I care about somebody, I care. So it's like everything I do I always take into consideration like how it's going to affect them. So self-neglect.
That is a relationship, though. I mean,
Yeah,
that
no,
in
I know,
itself.
but like to the point where it's
hurting you.
yeah, to the point where it's you're neglecting yourself.
Mhm.
That's when it's not healthy anymore.
Yeah.
Time. I was afraid of all the time that I had spent with this person, that should have been a factor, which it shouldn't be. It doesn't matter. Like Chardz
Like you don't
said,
want it to go to waste
don't
almost.
don't be afraid to end something that's toxic, no matter how much time you've invested into it.
Resources, energy,
Yeah,
money.
no, and
Money,
yeah,
resources,
and
energy.
and another thing I would say is insecure. I'm always at my most insecure when I'm in a relationship. It's weird.
Oh wow.
It's the weirdest thing, and I'm trying to work on it. But like even now, if a guy's talking to me, I'm at the forefront. Like I'm trying to control every aspect of it because I'm trying to not allow myself to fall back into those like type of mind frame in that situation again. And yes, that I know that is stupid. Like
No.
try and
I don't think so. I think one, there's a self-worth aspect in there, and two, it's also the other half of it is down to your partner, and your partner should not make you feel insecure. Like that should be one of the factors of your relationship. Him making you feel secure in your relationship, you making him feel secure in your relationship.
At the same time, though, I get where you're coming from, Fee, because I can imagine wanting to control everything out of a place of being scared must feel really hard, especially if you're aware of it, because you realize that you're saying things that don't necessarily need to be said, but because you're so scared of things not happening in the way that you hope to happen, you're really scared of getting hurt again, and you're really scared of them possibly doing this or doing that. It's almost too much, and you can scare people off that way.
Yeah, but then I'm already scaring people off as it is. Have you seen my eyes, my red eyes? I'm joking. I'm not my dad.
Shout out to Uncle.
My dad's always like, whenever he's vexed, he'll be like, "If you see my red eye, yeah," and then that's supposed to invoke some sort of Hulk response. I don't know. Why did I do that? But like, he is the funniest. Love you, Dad. But yeah, I think I'm just too much of an overthinker. And I can antagonize the littlest thing to the nth. Like, you could tell me one thing and my mind could twist that into 1,000 pieces. And that's that a lot of women do that. We're guilty of it. I hate it. I don't like that side of myself, but it is something we do. I think being aware of the fact I do it is better.
Yeah.
But then I think at the same time, whilst I was in that relationship, I thought people look at me and seem to assume that I am very confident and I have my shit together, and that's always everybody's mistake. They seem to think.
Before you come to that one, the point you just mentioned, I think being an overthinker and following your instincts, they're two things that can similarly easily be misconstrued or mistaken. And I think it's so important. That's another thing that I have personally learned. It's so important to follow your instinct. If you are like, this ain't good for me, or some shit is happening, I'm not saying go looking for it, because if you look, seeking you shall find. Yeah. But if your instincts are telling you, your spidey senses are going off, girl, retreat. Retreat and run.
It's crazy, because I feel like a lot of the time, I think I was actually reading about it recently, that it's funny because we always talk about this gut instinct that we have and a woman's intuition and blah blah blah. How often do we actually follow that stuff, guys? And I feel like a lot of the time it's probably because on some weird level, as mentioned in this post as well, that we almost don't trust ourselves when we see things that are in front of us that are obviously wrong, but we're like, no, it can't be. There must be an explanation, there must be a reason, and so you continue to pursue that shit that made no sense because in your mind your intuition was wrong. And no, this is something that's been misunderstood. But from the outset, we've seen the red flag, but we've made excuses. The flag isn't red; it's even green. It's telling me to go forward.
I'm slightly colorblind. It's like you don't have no
Bitch,
colorblind history.
I can't read. Flag what is that?
I can't see. And we allow our emotions to blind us as well. In that sense, and if you already start making excuses for that person, they have an excuse. because you've made it for them. So like if you're accepting stupid behavior and you've made an excuse for them to do it, they're just going to keep doing it because you've already given them the pass to do it. And it's not going to change, and it's not going to get any better because you've accepted it once. You can accept it again. You know how people feel like, oh, once they've had I want to straight out the intercourse, with
here we
you.
go again.
Once they've had
flaps and
intercourse
flappy
with you,
bits, flap.
it's like once they've been there, they can go back. That's how, you know, people view it. It's like, if it's happened once, I can always do it again.
That terrifies me. Don't say that, please.
I think, you know what, I think that's why I mentioned boundaries, to be honest, because I think sometimes when we allow people to do wrong to us, we've noticed it, and you know what, half the time they probably noticed as well what they did to you was wrong, but because you allowed it, they will continue to keep doing it because you've allowed it, and you've told them that in this particular aspect of my life there are no boundaries. You can do whatever you want and I will continue to accept your shitty behavior because I have never told you otherwise. But if you were actually bold enough to be like, actually, what you did at that particular time was unacceptable, or I didn't appreciate that, or that hurt me, you set a boundary there and you told this person that this particular behavior I'm not tolerating. See, the thing is, I'm saying this now all with my chest. Where was my chest when I was facing the trouble in my life? See, I have chest now. I can't repeat when it comes to the actual test though. So you know what? I am hitting all them practical tests. A star, A star, A star. Tell me to do the exam. Where is my grade? Ungradable. I can't do it.
I think that's the problem with most relationships. You know what to do, like in terms of, you know what's right, you know what's wrong. Simple as. Point blank period. And you know what to do when you're looking from the outside, and which is why people who are not in your situation are so good at telling you what to do and how to handle your situation. But when you are on the inside of the situation, it is a whole different ball game. And from being having the emotions in the situation does not allow you to see as clear as somebody who's looking from the outside. So I think it is good to have a good support system who actually have your best interest at heart in terms of the difficult times. However, I equally feel that most situations, discussions, errors or discrepancies in your relationship need to be discussed within your relationship and not just be handing them out all over town, getting people involved, getting people to run your relationship for you. Otherwise you never actually learn, you never actually reflect on your relationship and what you should be doing, and you never learn to be in a relationship because everybody else on the outside adding their 2 cents here and there has run your relationship for you. Also, on that note, not everybody has your best intentions at heart. Don't be going around sharing your business about your relationship because not everybody is interested in you still maintaining that relationship or knows your goals for that relationship or even respects your goals for that relationship. So don't be going taking everyone's advice about your relationship. The one who knows your relationship the most is you. However, if you have a good support system, a trustworthy, good support system, these are people who will look out for you when you are in a toxic situation and you're too colorblind to see the likeness of your real shit.
I think that, you know what, I have to say, like, I think I've been, like, in past relationships, I probably haven't always, you know, it's actually quite funny because when I think about it, in past relationships, when I knew shit was hitting the fan, I didn't talk to my friends, and if anything, I almost isolated myself because I knew what I was going through, or I felt what I was going through at the time was my fault. I didn't want to tell anyone because I felt like they would only tell me to leave. And the thing is, that's one thing I was actually really scared of because of all the time I'd already invested in this relationship. Like you said, like when it comes to investing time relationships, no matter how toxic, you've already done it, so you're like, I can't waste this time. And secondly, I felt like it would be admitting to all the wrong that I did in this relationship, and in some ways I almost didn't want to admit that to myself, that actually I've messed up, and I don't know how to get out of this, but I know I should, but I don't know how. And admitting that is really, really hard. And I think moving forward, I feel like probably my thing is, like, deep-seated in that when it comes to even calling those things out in the first place. I have a problem with confrontation. I don't like confrontation situations, so that's my issue. But I think it's important that, even, like, if as long as you do have a good support system, that you actually do share with your friends, especially the people that you feel like you can trust. Because I think that those people who care about you are best honest to remind you of how precious you are and how much you do deserve better. And you know what? We've seen your personality change. We've seen you haven't been your best lately. And we just want to remind you that you are better than this and you always have been. And I think it's so key to have someone who reminds you of that, who's outside of your relationship, because I think inside of your relationship, because there are so many emotions involved, you see things very black and white, whereas your friends can kind of like, or hopefully if your friends are impartial, I'm not impartial when it comes to my friends, I'm gonna say that straight, but hopefully your friends are impartial, they'll be able to tell you honestly, actually, in this situation, sis, you were wrong. You shouldn't have done that. And I would hope my friends are that honest with me, because I know I've been doing shit sometimes, but you know.
Yes, girl. I'll tell you. No tea, no shade. Sip.
Gotta sip
Wrong.
This is, I'm not gonna lie, I have to admit, this is tougher than I thought it was gonna be.
I had the emotions in your voice there.
Like, it's actually very, very do you know why? Because I'm reminiscing at the same time I'm recalling all the bad things. Do you know what I mean? But like, it's just, I know. Oh, I hope to God these whoever these people are, none of you are listening, innit?
All my people are listening. Listen.
if you are listening, like, I just hope we're all in a better space in that. But at the time, I mentioned earlier, like, I tend to be like more insecure when I'm in a relationship than when I'm not in a relationship. And I don't know if that's just because I don't have to answer to anybody, or like going off of what's previously, I've been cheated on in the past, and that was a very, very like big blow. I got over it fairly quickly, but it was still a very big blow, and you obviously don't want that to happen again. But like, it's just led me, I think, I wouldn't call it paranoid, but it just makes me second guess everything. And it's like Chardz was saying, don't get that line of, intuition and overthinking blurred. But I think I blurred them. I bloody smeared them all over the page together. And
A messy sandwich.
When I'm in a relationship, I no longer have the ability to be able to remove myself from a situation and think it through logically. Mandem, you are so lucky you are able to separate logic from emotion. How you have mastered it and how you're able to do it.
How about separating your dick from your brain? How about that?
You're lucky. Whereas me, I'm still like, I'm still aware that it's something we do. And I try not to play on it, but gosh, it's hard. Like, when we get in our feelings, we get in our feelings, and it is hard.
I feel like we're giving. I feel like I said this before. Like, I feel like sometimes we give these guys too much credit. Just because it's touted that men are the more logical, it's not always true. Nope. Sometimes when guys get emotional, they have no sense either. And I feel like, or sometimes when they're in their feelings, that's when they don't even tend to talk, because they're not trying to share those kinds of things. And I feel like we shouldn't minimize the fact that they also have these sorts of feelings or whatever.
I know, I understand that, but that's also part of the problem, though. You yourself not being able to tell me this in the first place, that in itself is a problem. That in itself is a learning curve for me. I no longer want to be with somebody who can't openly say, listen, I'm feeling X, Y, and Z right now. And fair enough, I might not be presenting it in the way that you understand, but that's how I'm feeling. And I'm telling you that's how I'm feeling. And I'll be like, all right, cool. Like, is there anything I can do to help? Anything I could do to help you and overcome that? Like, we're supposed to be a team. Do you know what I mean? Let's go, like, let's try and help each other grow here. It's not just
I know it sounds so cliche, but communication is hands down the first and uttermost important thing in a relationship. You can determine the duration, you can determine the quality, you can determine the consistency of a relationship based on how you communicate with each other. If I don't like this, I'm telling you I don't like this, therefore it's something that needs to change or it's something that needs to stop. If I'm telling you I like this, maybe it's something that you need to do more or we need to do more in order for me to be, i.e. equal happy in this situation. And it's like, it works both ways. But if you are not communicating, you have no fighting chance. And if you don't know how to communicate, your relationships are going to be shit. So you need to go and learn that. If you didn't learn it in primary school, and you didn't learn it in high school, and you sure as hell didn't learn it in life, you need to find a way to gain that skill. It is vital.
I think it's really, the thing is with the communication, with the communication, the English, with communication, I think a lot of the time in terms of communication in relationships, a lot of us pick up things from our parents. I guess to take it away from my ex for now, or our exes for now. We learn about these things from our parents, and I think a lot of us sometimes learn some quite problematic ways of speaking to our partners from our parents. So I know for some situations there are relationships where maybe the man spoke over his wife more often. So you learn actually to internalize that, and therefore when your man is speaking to you, you're quiet. You never have anything else to say in return because his opinion somehow weighs more than yours. In some relationships,
the opposite, you learn how to shout louder because the loudest voice is apparently the one that's heard, which is not true.
And I feel like sometimes with learning those disturbing patterns in communication, you may think you're communicating to the other person, and the other person, because they're not doing the same thing, is not communicating with you. But the truth is, there's almost like a communication mismatch there. You're not communicating in a way that is productive, but because you're both coming from a standpoint where you have like problematic forms of communication or communicating your worries, you don't know how to do things in a way that is good for your relationship. Therefore it fails, not because you didn't try to communicate, but evidently there was a failure in you being able to understand each other. So I think even learning to communicate in a way that's productive or good for a healthy relationship, I know for me personally, is something that I'm continuing to work on, because I know for me, I have problems with communicating when I'm upset. Like more time, you won't know when I'm upset in a relationship because I will never tell you.
Oh, you know when I'm upset.
No, like
I have it all over my face, left, right, center. You can't walk in the room and not know that I'm upset.
No, like
you can see it.
I think for me, like I will go on like I'm okay until I hit a point where I'm like either just really withdrawn or I am literally exploding for the smallest reason. And I feel like it's really unhealthy that I do that, to be honest, and I call myself out on it because it's not right that I do that and it's not fair to whoever I'm with. But I think I've acknowledged it and I'm trying to work on it in general and learn to communicate things when I'm upset in my general life. It's hard though, because as I said before, I have a problem with confrontation. I don't like it because confrontation always seems like something that's going to end negatively. That's what I've seen in the past. So I don't like it. But we're trying to learn.
I agree with you, the fact that it's difficult to communicate when one is upset. I'll definitely give that an agreement. I'm quite the opposite. For me, I wear my feelings on my face. If I'm happy, you can genuinely tell I'm happy. If something has pissed me off, sour lemon face is not even enough to describe how my face is. And you can walk into a room and immediately know by my aura, by my personality, how I'm even one word answering you or sarky answering you. And it's like, don't ask me how I am when you obviously know. Like, I'm so obvious. I can't hide it. I'm sorry. If I feel a type of way, you'll know. I don't hide shite about that in regards to that. I wear my feelings on my sleeve, and you'll know. So I don't communicate the best when I'm upset, but you will definitely know that something's up with me. I'm transparent.
It's mad because I think about, like, when I think about me, like, I remember there was one particular occasion where I cried for an entire weekend. My girl was there. Like, when I say I was with my friend, we were meeting up for I think lunch before we went to like a poetry thing. Shout out to you, girl, because I swear this girl, like my girl Tai Tai, like savior of life, because that, like, my big sis, she has spoken wisdom into my life since then and even before then. But anyway, I'm in the restaurant talking to this girl about this guy and I am bawling my eyes out. We thank God we were on the top deck of this restaurant because nobody needed to see the embarrassment. I was really crying into my flipping dinner at this restaurant. But then the next time I saw this person, hi, how are you? Am I mad? Am I actually mad? Like, it's a thing where the thing is that this person knew I was upset, but we never addressed that situation. As in, like, they're like, are we, like, literally what happened was, are we friends now? And I was like, that's literally what happened, and we skated over the whole issue. But girls, when I tell you, I was crying the entire weekend. But when I spoke to that person again, are we friends now? And basically that was it, brushed under the carpet. Then I never said anything.
Confrontation. I
think I'm the same as Zoe. I'm always ready for a fight, bro. Put them
out. I don't care if we go to bed 5 o'clock in the morning. I'd rather hash it out and be actually done with it than to brush it under the rug and act like. Do you know how much work it takes to act like you're okay when you're not okay? I ain't got that kind of energy for nobody in this world. If I ain't okay, I sure as hell am gonna tell you I ain't okay.
I've noticed though, when that happens, the longer you leave it, the more you start to forget why you were even angry in the first place. And that itself gets me even more. So I'm bouncing off the rebound anger now. So like I'm piling up.
I'm the opposite. I'm piling up. The longer you give me to be angry about something, the more points I'll raise. Bruv, I will bring in last year's shit, the shit that you did this time, the little thing that you did that I didn't realize it pissed me off that time, but now it's relevant, and so I'm gonna tell you that it pissed me off. So if we have a situation and we don't hash it out there and then, the longer it goes on for, the more pissed off I get.
Yeah,
that's me.
No, I agree. Like, I'm even bringing up the fact that you didn't put the toilet seat down last week. Like, I'm vexed. Where am I supposed to sit? Anyway,
I'm gonna try and be better, guys, because honestly, I think what's it called? I wish that when these things are happening, I was more vocal at the time. Because honestly, I feel like I probably could have saved myself a couple more, hours of red eyes, because it hasn't been easy. But I think you learn, and I feel like that's the importance of like being able to establish boundaries. Because at that time, there were no boundaries, sis. They were walking all over me, and I'm here like, okay, that's fine. I'm okay. I'll be fine. It's not every day strong black girl, sis. Sometimes just admit when you're upset. Yeah. And sometimes if you're upset, it's okay to be upset because you are justified in being upset. And I need to learn that, because I think I'm not very good at saying when or admitting that something has pissed me off. I hate admitting that someone got to me. I don't want you to know that you pissed me off. I'm going to sit there and be seething, but there's no way I'm giving you the satisfaction of knowing you rattled me. I'm not doing it.
Oh, it's not a satisfaction. It's a satisfaction for me to tell you that you've pissed me off. I'm not gonna lie. I need to get it off my chest, mate. I can't sleep at night. I just can't. I cannot, in good consciousness, like, go to sleep with that type of anger on my mind. I don't care if you're trying to be passive aggressive in your ways and giving the silent treatment. You got to open your mouth and we got to talk about it.
Do you know how petty? No, it's not pettiness, but like my feelings get so big, like in terms of anger and whatever, they get so big in my life. This is why I have to let it out. If I'm angry with you, I can't stay in the same house as you. Talk less of the same bed. You sure as hell ain't sleeping in my bed next to me with the anger that's on my. Like, I literally feel like at the point where I am angry or upset, there is this massive block around me of blackness. And it's like, there ain't enough for me, there ain't enough space for me, this block, and you in this bed, or me, this block, and you in this house. Something's got to give. So it's either the block or somebody's got to go.
Yeah, I agree.
So I gotta have it out. I literally cannot sleep with anger and stuff like that on my mind, and I would literally not sleep. My mind will be awake until I say something that feels like some pressure has been released. Kettle waiting to overflow. Like, it's literally.
If not, I start resorting to petty antics. I'll put more chili in your food than needs to be there.
You think
I'll make your I'll to watch you choke on chili? Yes.
That's vengeance. I'm not involved. I'd rather neglect. Neglect than put my hand in it.
I can be petty like that, so trust me, it's in your best interest to hash this out with me. I'm just telling you. It's in your best interest. It's either that, or you're going to find that your trousers have mysteriously shrunk and the remote for the TV's gone missing.
Jesus.
I swear to God, I'll be that petty. You can't find your car keys. You ain't going to work today. Not today. Not tomorrow, not today. Call in sick. I'm not petty. I'm not crazy person. I am that crazy person.
But I think you're right, Jules. I think boundaries are massively, massively important. I think everybody has to have them. And if not, each of you can't understand, one, where that person is coming from, and two, how to go about resolving. Because, you know, it's like, okay, this is their wall at this point, this is how I approach this situation. If someone is just a flat line, like, you know, a circle on the floor, what are you doing? Like, how do you even go around it? You just walk straight across it. And it's like, you can't actually start dealing with somebody's issues if they don't have a foundation, if they don't have, you can't even help support them in dealing with their issues that they have with you, or not attacking, but dealing with that problem if you don't even know where they stand on it. Do you get what I mean? So I think boundaries is a mass important thing in terms of like a relationship.
I think I touched earlier, I'm just going to bring it back. I touched earlier on like the whole insecurity aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually explaining it to a work colleague of mine. Shout out if you're listening, Anne. Love you. She's like my Welsh mum. So like I was explaining to her, like obviously like we got to talking and I was telling her like how I felt like the person was like embarrassed of me and this, that and the other, and I never got to really meet any of his family members, and like he'd met mine. Obviously you don't really meet dad until I graduate, but like he met mom, he met Niji, like he met my family basically, but I never really met any of his, and I used to feel like, is he embarrassed of me? And like when we were out in public as well, there was like no closeness. I used to think like people must think we're just friends, mate. Like people must think we're just hanging out. Like I used to think, and then she brought up an interesting like perspective. She was like, did you ever think that maybe he was just embarrassed? He didn't want you to be involved in like what could have been a very sticky situation for him, that he just didn't want you anywhere near it. And it's not that he was embarrassed by you, but maybe he had his own like issues and that.
This
like
is
I
what
never
I'm talking
ever
about
really
communication, because I would like to call out bullshit.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like that's what I'm saying. It brings it back to that. Like communication is key, but at the same time, it's like if you had like maybe I wouldn't have been so insecure if we had spoken about these type of things. But I always got the vibe like if I did try and breach the subject, it was always a not again type of thing. Do you know what I mean? And it's that
way.
So exactly, and that's what I'm saying. It's like if you this is where it starts to become toxic. And if you dread the idea of going to speak to this person about something that's affecting you, that is toxic.
Yeah.
And that was a big issue for me. Like I think there were so many things that I was so terrified, and everybody who knows me at the time would know that I would come to them with my problems, and then they'll be like, talk to him. I'll be like, yeah. I'll talk to him. Maybe I'll make him dinner, and then we'll have a nice chat. My guy will be asleep. Wouldn't even happen.
Can I interject and just say, shout out to the guy then, yeah? If a woman comes to you and it sounds like the same old conversation, guess what? You haven't fixed the problem. Yes, we're talking about it again, because when I spoke about it last time, your ass didn't do nothing changed, and we are revisiting it again because you clearly did not hear me or make any action on what you think you heard last time. We are in the same circumstance. So if your woman is coming to you and she has the same issue, you need to take another perspective on it and make an effort, because whatever you did last time sure as hell did not work. If it wasn't a problem, she would not be bringing it up again. So don't look at it as like, oh, here we go again. Look at it as, what did I not actually see last time? Or what did I not get last time? How can I fix it this time? Then you won't be hearing the same yada, yada, yada over, thinking that your woman is nagging you. Believe you me, no woman actually likes to nag. Nobody likes to be called a nag.
You know what?
Or viewed as a nag. Like,
I actually want to like get back to what Fee was saying actually about feeling that at the time when he wasn't showing his family, it was making her feel a certain type of way about herself. And I reflect on it, because I remember like when you used to like talk about these kinds of things, and it makes me so sad, like in retrospect, to think that you were with someone who you cared about so much, who you were happy to sort of like show off to at whatever point, and you didn't feel like you were getting that same energy back. And I hope when you look back, you realize how much more you deserve and how much you hope to hopefully be able to get in a future relationship, because that's hard, like feeling like the person that you care about isn't happy to show you to the people in their life who matter a lot to them. And I hope since then you've been able to sort of rectify that and realize that you were never the problem.
Yeah, I have. This is why I'm just not I'm not bothering to entertain anybody that I seem to think will have a problem with me in the long term with my personality.
Yeah.
Like, I refuse to allow myself feel like some sort of hidden secret. I refuse to allow myself to feel like some sort of embarrassment. I'm a human being. I'm not perfect. And yeah, fine, fair enough. I may present a confident exterior, but if you know me, that, like, most of that confidence, most of the time, it's all bluster. Like, and I think a lot of women can agree that their confidence, to a certain extent, you're full confident, maybe like 3 weeks in a row, and then you'll have that 1 week where you're not as confident, and that's perfectly natural. That's perfectly normal, and I should be able to count on you in that moment to maybe not. I'm not saying that I need you to like, but just uplift me, or like be there for me, like be a pillar. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying I need you to hold my hand, but I just need to know that you're there saying, no, like, you're just having an off week. Don't be silly. Like, you'll be yourself in no time again. Like, you got this. Do you know what I mean? That's all we're looking for. I'm not looking for, and that's all. It's the support. That's ultimately what I'm trying to get at. The support. It's just a lack of support, and I just always feel like I either have to diminish a part of myself, which is what I did in the first relationship, hide parts of myself, because they might come across as either too aggressive, too like I'm not girly or feminine enough, or like, you know, or like in this way where I'm showing myself completely, and because I've showed myself so completely, you seem to think that I'm okay in myself 100% of the time. And if I do come with an issue, or I do come to you for advice, or I'm looking for your support, why do you need it? Like, stop it, man! You're being silly.
Yeah,
everyone needs to feel that. Yeah.
And that's where it baffles me. Whereas I felt like I was just investing so much time into making sure that you were okay, and you were fed, and you were mentally stable.
I could click my fingers.
And because of that, the detriment of that was myself. And I'm not going to do that again. Hence why I'm not going to entertain anybody who tries to give me some type of lame excuse about whatever. If you've got an excuse, please keep it moving. I don't have time for it.
I hate lies. I hate lies.
It's
the basis of our
Why you always lying?
Why you always lying? Oh my god.
Stop fucking lying.
I hate lies. Don't lie to me. And for me, it spirals from the smallest thing. If I start checking, do you know what I mean? If I find out that you like even lied a small bit, for me, it's just like, what else have you lied about? Like, it takes one little thing and it's like, oh yeah, I went to the gym, whereas you were sitting out eating, and it could be something so innocent, but then it's like, oh really? So you wasn't there? So then how many other times have you lied to me about where you were, or blah blah blah? And it just spirals out of control. I think it is the little relationship devil. I think I hate lies. Don't lie to me. I think if anything has hurt the most in any relationship, whether it was cheating or whatever, and it's because it all came with lies. Like the disrespect of cheating on its own is just massive, and for me that's why I said respect was a big thing. I feel like if guys say, oh, sex is different, blah 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 blah, whatever, if you can cheat on me, I feel like you do not respect me, and that is just a simple equation. In terms of the lying, I feel like you put our whole relationship at jeopardy the minute you start lying to me. There is no trust at all, and I realized that to come back, it is so hard. Like always the hardest thing in the world to come back to a relationship or form a relationship or continue a relationship when there is no trust. Do you know how long it took to build in the first place? For you to then destroy it with something so stupid as lying, whether it's about something you feel is innocent or not, to ruin it with lies, it's just destruction. It's the way down from there. So do not lie to me. I will not lie to you. I think a relationship should be based on honesty, even if you fucked up,
100%.
even if you made a mistake. We are not perfect, and yes, I will have a squeezed lemon face for a while because you pissed me off, but at least have the decency, even in yourself, to just be honest. Honestly, I can't stand it.
I agree. But why is that? I know I've heard some people say stuff like the reason why I don't want to hurt you.
And you hurt me more when you lie.
Yeah, and
That's
that's
me.
what I think. That's what people seem to forget, though. It's not for you to decide.
It's not.
It's not for you to decide. It's not. You
If
just
you
need
lay all
to.
your cards out on the table, whether she takes you back or not, she should have an informed decision. And that may sound like really healthcare-y because I'm a pharmacist, but it's like I think people. I think people should have a decision as to what they want to do, whether they want to move forward with you or not. But they can only do that on the based on the truth and all the information. When you're keeping things and hiding, or maybe I'll only give her a little part just because she will stay with me or whatever. And it's just like that's not how it works. You're living a fake life. If you think you can only give someone part of the information and think they should make a full decision on that, it's like if you're living a lie, the person and you get all the way to the stage of marriage, they ain't marrying you. You're not the person they're actually marrying. No wonder why 50% of the marriages end up in divorce. Because if you can't even be real with the person who you think you're going to spend the rest of your life with, at what point do you start acting real? Because the person who they thought they were marrying was completely different to the person they are actually marrying. Because your relationship is built on lies, lies, lies.
Because you're selfish.
Selfish. Anyway, guys,
I don't know who Miss Chardz is at in here, but if you're listening, your ears must be hot, sir. Hot. She pulling down them glasses again. You know about the glasses in the last episode? Oh man, oh man.
Oh my god. Anyway, guys, I know everyone's shared, and I was like, ooh, I did not know that we was telling stories, because if it's story time, I got a hell of a lot to share, or to say, or to give. But you know, Fee's shared her experience. Julie, you've explained a bit of yours. I don't particularly want to go into mine, but I think that it makes sense. I think you guys can get it, you know, and maybe sometime, you know, I will tell my story. But one thing I would like to say, sorry, just as my conclusion, is one thing I have definitely learned, apart from boundaries, respect, communication, and all of those things being important, and obviously being true to yourself in terms of your own intuition, is if somebody tells you who they are the first time, fucking believe them.
150%.
Don't think, oh, that's not how you really are. Oh, but you act this way different. Oh, but no. If someone tells you who they are the first time, fucking believe them. That's all I'm gonna say, and intelligent people will pick that up. I'm done.
Yeah, like fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me, innit? So yeah.
Fool me 3 times, I probably need to be fooled.
Disclaimer, ladies and gentlemen, the purpose of this podcast was not to bash anybody that has been relevant in our pasts. I'm just saying that so that no one comes and attacks me on another level, okay? But
I can't even lie to you.
I would just like to say, so, I think I've grown so much from what I've been through, and I would like to say in hindsight, I'm not that insecure person anymore, and I've grown a lot since then, and I'm assured in myself, and I refuse to let anybody let me feel any other type of way, and that is the most significant thing that I've learned from that relationship.
I have to say, I guess, looking forward to the person that I am now, I think I have never been more committed to seeing myself get better for myself. Having been in a situation where I wasn't.
What she said.
Like, yeah, like I have never felt more committed to doing shit for myself like I have done now, because I think that whole situation, all those past situations, made me realize that I wasn't doing shit that was in my best interest. I was always thinking, you know what, not to be quiet, to be humble, to be No, if you want to get shit done in your life or to get things in your life, you got to stand up and be very vocal about that stuff, and you need to have the self-discipline to follow through at the same time. That's what we are working on from now until forevermore, because I have had enough. I have had enough, and we are not on that shit anymore.
Amen, Sister Fran. Amen.
So guys, if you're comfortable enough to, maybe take the time to reflect on what it is you've learned about yourself on your past relationships, and make sure to comment below, to share the podcast, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell another friend, and maybe he'll tell another friend. Most importantly, subscribe, follow us on our social media, follow us on our Instagram and our Facebook. Make sure to keep in touch. We want to hear your opinions, we want to hear your point of view, we want to also hear your experiences, because I'm pretty sure we are not the only three that have been through these kind of things. And men, we would like to hear from you as well. Don't be shy, don't play coy.
We didn't say men are shit. We did not. You know, y'all just have your ways.
Not one, exactly.
Anyone who was atted by Miss Chardz, maybe you shouldn't share your opinions. We don't want to know. Just saying. No tea, no shade, but all the tea.
I'm pretty sure I know half of you. I'm a kill y'all if y'all say anything out of turn.
That is not a legalized threat. This will not be held in court.
We gonna cut that out. We gonna cut that out.
Kick rocks and hope for Hana, the witch, don't come find you. Okay.
All right, so we gonna make a real statement there.